Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. So according to The Sun, Manchester United are eyeing a 50 million plus move for Pedro Neto from Wolves. Now Pedro Neto had a trial at Carrington back in 2016, but he didn't impress enough for Manchester United to get him. He was a teenager when he had the trial at Carrington. Now we're seeing Pedro Neto as an alternative to Jadon Sancho. Pedro Neto is only young, he's 21 years of age. His performances for Wolves have been very good. He's under contract with Wolves until 2025. Wolves paid around £18 million for him from Lazio. He was at Lazio on loan. Before he was at Lazio, he was at Braga. So would you take him at Manchester United? Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer versus Brendan Rodgers. Who will come out on top? Now, Solskjaer has beaten Leicester 3 times as Manchester United manager. The last time Leicester beat us was back in September 2014. But this will be a tough game for Manchester United because Leicester are a well-organised team. Brendan Rodgers is a very, very good coach. Brendan Rodgers has been Leicester manager for just over 2 years. He's got a contract with Leicester until 2025. Leicester haven't only been consistent under Brendan Rodgers, they was also very consistent under Claudio Ranieri because they won the Premier League under Claudio Ranieri. But Brendan Rodgers has managed quite a few clubs in his managerial career. Before he was at Leicester, he was at Celtic, enjoyed a few years with them. Before he was at Celtic, he was at Liverpool. You can probably say he enjoyed one good season with Liverpool. Before he was at Liverpool, he was at Swansea, and he's managed Reading and Watford before. Brendan Rodgers has made quite a few signings as Leicester manager. Obviously brought Timothy Castagne in, brought Fofana in, brought Under in, brought Dennis Pryor in, brought Youri Tielemans in, brought James Justin in, and brought Perez in. So they're the signings he's made, and all Man United have got to do is keep Jamie Vardy at bay and keep Iheanacho at bay because they are two very good players. You know, Jamie Vardy risen up from non-league football. And he is at that level now, what a lot of Leicester fans wanted. James Maddison, he's one of Leicester's key players, but he's actually out with injury. Don't forget, we've been in for James Maddison before. Wilfred Ndidi, he's also one of Leicester's key players. Youri Tielemans, he's a very, very good midfielder. Harvey Barnes, he's also one of Leicester's key players, but he's out with injury. Ricardo Pereira, he's going to miss the game today because he's got injury. James Justin, I think he's out for the season. Under is out with injury. Wes Morgan's been injured, but I think he's now back. So they've actually had quite a few injuries, have Leicester. Johnny Evans, they've got him. He's a former Manchester United player. It's very likely he'll be reuniting with the club today. Peter Schmeichel is a good goalkeeper. Leicester have let quite a few good players go in recent years. Don't forget they lost Ben Chilwell to Chelsea last year. They lost Harry Maguire to us in the summer of 2019. He'll be reuniting with his former club today. They lost N'Golo Kante and Danny Drinkwater. They went to Chelsea a few years ago, so Chelsea have done good business with Leicester in recent years. And they also lost Riyad Mahrez to Man City in the summer of 2018. We drew with Leicester earlier on this season 2-2 at the King Power Stadium in the league. We did the double over them last season. We're beating them 2-0 at the King Power on the final game of last season in the league. That's what got us a third place finish last season. And we're beating them 1-0 at Old Trafford. We're coming into this game on the back of a 1-0 win against AC Milan in the Europa League round of 16 second leg. And it was a good away performance by Manchester United. You can say we're a bit too passive in our approach in the first half, but the second half was much better. Obviously, Paul Pogba came on and scored the goal, so he made an instant impact. Obviously, it was 2-1 on aggregate over the course of the two legs because the first leg against AC Milan was 1-1 at Old Trafford. So yeah, we are into the Europa League quarter-finals and we do play Granada. I think we actually are one of the favourites now to win it. We won our last league game. We beat West Ham 1-0. Weren't the best of games, but got the job done. It was an own goal from Craig Dawson. And reflecting on that win against West Ham, that assures us a top 4 finish. And it was back-to-back wins in the Premier League because before West Ham we beat Man City 2-0. It was a very good result against City. And it was also a very, very good performance. And we could have had more than 2 goals. We beat the best team in England. We did end Man City's 21-match winning run. And we are unbeaten in our last 22 Premier League away games. And I was surprised the way Solskjaer approached that game against City because he showed tactical flexibility. But yeah, we progressed to the FA Cup quarter-finals by beating Watford in the third round. We beat Watford in the third round, beat Liverpool in the fourth round, and beat West Ham in the fifth round. I think Solskjaer will make some changes from the 1-0 win against Milan recently. As you all know, Marcus Rashford is a doubt for this game because he came off injured against AC Milan. Hopefully his injury is not too severe. Not so long ago he had an ankle injury, sustained it in our 2-0 win against Man City. Sustained a few injuries now as a Man United player. Martial and Edison Cavani are also doubts. Martial has been out with a hip injury. Cavani, I thought was going to make the trip to Milan, but in the end he didn't. I think something happened in training. Obviously, Juan Mata's still out, but he doesn't get in our 11 anyway. Phil Jones is out. He's been out injured over the year. And Eric Bailly has got a knock. In the game this evening against Leicester, I'm expecting Paul Pogba to start because Paul Pogba didn't start against Milan. He come on. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been talking about Paul Pogba. He's said that Paul Pogba cares about Manchester United. Solskjaer is hopeful that Pogba will sign a new contract. Ole's already confirmed that we are in talks with Paul Pogba over a new contract, but we've not yet made a formal contract offer. When Paul Pogba played against Milan, that was the first game he played since the 3-3 draw with Everton, because he was out with a thigh injury. Earlier on this season he had an ankle injury, and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So he's sustained a few injuries now at Man United. But I'm glad Paul Pogba's back because he brings creativity to the team. I think we need to play Paul Pogba on the left wing, in more of an advanced role, because that's where he's more effective. Paul Scholes said the exact same thing. Pogba could still leave Man United in the summer. He has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and Juventus have been in for him. Paul Pogba did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus before he rejoined Man United. Mino Raiola has obviously been desperate to get his client out of the club, but he did say though earlier on this season he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season at Man United. And he did make an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence, because Mino Raiola doesn't have a good relationship with Man United and he has been criticised a lot. He made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and reflecting on that, Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement because it was just before the game against Leipzig in the Champions League. Matthias Pogba, Paul Pogba's brother, he gave us an update on Pogba's future earlier on this season, and he actually advised us to sell Pogba in the summer because he said there's a good chance he'll leave for nothing next year. He said he's got no intentions of signing a new contract. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on Pogba's contract, so he's under contract with the club until June 2022. He's our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid £89 million for him. Now, Amad Diallo Traore, he could start the game this evening against Leicester. I said, didn't I, in regards to Amad Diallo Traore, looks a good asset for the first team. Obviously scored his first goal for the football club against Milan in the first leg, and it was a very, very good header from Traore, and it was a good through ball from Bruno Fernandes. He was doing well for the under-23s, wasn't he, before he got into the first team. We got Amad Diallo Traore in a deal worth £37 million from Atlanta. Obviously, we paid $19 million up front, and the rest was in add-ons. Now, obviously, after Leicester, it is the international break. And then after the international break, it's Brighton, then it's Granada, and then it's Tottenham. Our transfer budget has been revealed for the summer. It's £80 million. That's not enough for us to get the players we want in. Solskjaer is planning to sell at least 4 players to bolster our transfer budget, and he hopes to raise as much as £60 million. So that would take our transfer budget to £140 million. This year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. I'm expecting us to make around 4 signings in the summer. Apparently we've identified 5 key transfer targets, so we're looking to get a striker, we're looking to get a defensive midfielder, we're looking to get a centre-half. Says we've been looking at getting a right back to provide competition for Wan-Bissaka, and we're also looking for a right winger. I'm expecting Solskjaer to get the backing he deserves in the summer transfer window, because obviously Solskjaer's had the transfer summit with John Murtough and Darren Fletcher. You know, he was discussing our transfer targets and he was discussing our summer transfer plans in general. And, you know, John Murtough, you know, he knows the club inside out because he's been at Man United for like 7 or 8 years. And I said we needed a director of football because I said it's one of the structural changes we need at the club, and I said it would be beneficial to recommend someone in who knows the club well, and John Murtough does, like I've just mentioned. You've got Darren Fletcher, who's our technical director, and he knows the club through thick and thin. He endured 2 decades as a player for Man United. You've got Michael Carrick, that's part of the club. You've got Kieran McKenna, that's part of the club. Obviously, Woodward did a statement not so long ago, and he says the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So, in that aspect, Woodward is backing Solskjaer. I don't think Solskjaer's been backed enough so far in the transfer windows he has endured. You know, he has made some good signings, but hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Ollie, and he did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. And even during them very bad periods, Woodward came out and assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. Because our board have got a soft stance on Solskjaer, with him being a club legend. But Solskjaer is set to have his final say on our transfer incoming deals. Now, on my last video, I give you the news on Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. So, we've suffered a Erling Haaland transfer blow because apparently Erling Haaland favours a move to Real Madrid. Erling Haaland scored twice in Dortmund's 2-2 draw with Cologne, but he stormed off the pitch. Now, there's been so many clubs in for him. Dortmund are demanding in the excess of £100 million for Haaland. He does have a release clause, but it doesn't become active until next year. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer did say that he was following Erling Haaland's progress, and he said he's keeping in touch with Erling Haaland. Back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Since Haaland's arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. He's been at Dortmund 15 months now. Dortmund paid £17 million for him. He's under contract with Dortmund until 2024. He is our centre-forward transfer priority, is Haaland. I heard that he's demanding wages of £350,000 from his next club. Dortmund have said they're prioritising finishing in the top 4 in order to convince Haaland to stay. You know the news on Declan Rice. There was narratives coming out not so long ago saying that Solskjaer had agreed with our new recruitment team that Declan Rice would be the perfect signing for the club. Apparently West Ham are demanding £80 million. So if we're willing to pay £80 million, West Ham will allow him to leave. Earlier on this season, it said that West Ham were considering lowering their asking price to £50 million. Last year, he was relentlessly linked to a move to Chelsea, was Declan Rice. That's when Frank Lampard was in charge. He was Frank Lampard's top target. Lampard was infuriated when he missed out on Declan Rice. But the main explanations I take Declan Rice at Man United is because he's young, he's got a lot of development in him, he dramatically improves, he's well proven in the Premier League. So yeah, and we're seeing him as an ideal replacement for Nemanja Matic. He's been at West Ham for like 7 years now. He's got a contract at West Ham until 2024. Before he was at West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup for several years. Predominantly a holding midfielder, breaks up the play very well, but can also be deployed as a centre-half. And there's been quite a few centre-halves on our agenda. But yeah. And we are going to sell quite a few players in the summer transfer window. So in that aspect, we'll generate money and it'll help us with our rebuilding process. Like I've said already, there's a good chance that we'll sell Juan Mata in the summer. Good chance Edison Cavani's going to leave in the summer, but Solskjaer has come out and said that he's hopeful that Cavani will stay at the club next season. Solskjaer has revealed that we are in contract discussions with Edison Cavani. Football Insider recently said that Cavani has reached a verbal agreement to join Boca Juniors at the end of the season. Edison Cavani's current contract expires in June. So, if he was to leave in the summer, then we wouldn't receive a transfer fee. But Ollie said not so long ago that he was closer to Boca Juniors than staying at Manchester United. His father came out the other week and said that Cavani's unhappy at Man United. He's not comfortable in England and he wants to leave. Reports in Argentina actually said Cavani decided to leave Man United after one season and he wants to join Boca Juniors. As you all know, Cavani hasn't been playing recently due to injury. But he has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. We got Cavani on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract with Man United with an option of a second year. There's a lot of United fans saying that we need to sell Anthony Martial in the summer. No longer good enough to represent the club. Has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. Just hasn't been clinical enough in front of goal and the chances have been there for him. But earlier on this season, Solskjaer said he was impressed with Anthony Martial's work rate and backed him to rediscover his form. He's been out of a hip injury recently, had an injury just before that. Last season, Martial was good, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial has been at the club over 5 years. We could sell Matic in the summer, because he's not one of our first choice midfielders. I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player, and in the vast majority of his games at Man United, he has been inconsistent. But he's enjoyed some good games. Matic is aging up now. He's been at the club almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Like I said, Pogba could still leave in the summer. Phil Jones, I want him to leave this year because he doesn't get in our team. Phil Jones has always been inconsistent. This is Phil Jones' 10th season at Manchester United. So he's been a long servant and is the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Could Bay leave in the summer? Recent narratives have said that Bay is furious with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because he doesn't feel respected or wanted at the club, and apparently Bay is going to reject a new contract. Bay's got like 15 months left on his current contract. David De Gea, there's a good chance we'll sell him in the summer so we can make Dean Henderson our first choice goalkeeper. I think we should make Dean Henderson as our number one now because he's reliable enough to become our number one, and he has got that experience behind him, and he's done well in the games he's played in this season. Paul Scholes reckons that Dean Henderson has already overtaken David De Gea as our first choice goalkeeper. We'll be looking to get rid of Lingard permanently and also Delors permanently. So we sell them players, we'll generate a substantial amount. Like I've said, we are planning for a long-term future under Solskjaer because Solskjaer has agreed to sign a new contract worth £9 million a year. So we've given him a pay rise. Sources at Old Trafford said the other week that talks are set to begin any day on the new deal, because later on this month, Solskjaer enters the final year of his 3-year contract. But analysing it, I think Solskjaer does deserve a new contract, reflecting on the progress he's made. He's done very, very well in the last year or so, and we have enjoyed very, very good periods under him where in some of them good periods he's got the best out of the team, he's improved certain players, and we've been very consistent. We've also enjoyed his bad periods as well where you can turn around and say, you know, Ole was lucky not to be sacked. But if we had a sacked Ole during them bad periods, it wouldn't have really solved anything, because when we have been inconsistent, not all of the blame has stemmed from him. It's never all the manager's fault. I don't think Solskjaer's the long-term manager for Man United, but I hope I'm proven wrong. But I've got to say, he is the best manager since Ferguson. He's been Manchester United manager over 2 years. And he's gained managerial experience, reflecting now on he's been here, but he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. I do have my concerns about Ole, but I've got to credit him in quite a few aspects. You know, we're second in the Premier League. At one point, he got us top of the Premier League. That's when we was obviously in the title race, but there was a period where we dropped too many points, so that's why we're no longer in the title race. You know, he's got us to the FA Cup quarters, he's got us to the Europa League quarter-finals. You know, we've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. Did well last season in his first full season at the club. You know, got us to 3 semi-finals, got us 3rd place finish and got us qualification for the Champions League. He's got us to 4 semi-finals in total so far, because he got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost 2-0 to Man City. Went on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions last season, was 14 unbeaten in the Premier League. And Solskjaer spent almost £300 million so far as Man United manager, and he's got rid of a lot of players since he came in as well. So we've got to credit him for that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson. We've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson, and that was David Moyes, sacked him after 10 months, sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup, and we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning the Europa League and the League Cup and the Community Shield in his first season. So we've had different managers with different philosophies. Mistakes have been made since Ferguson retired, and that's one of the main explanations why we have been so inconsistent. If we finish second this season and win a trophy, I'll turn around and say, yeah, that represents a good season for Man United, and that gives us something to build on going on into next season, because I've already said Solskjaer needs to win a trophy at Man United this season, so that marks progress. So I'm saying the exact same thing as what Gary Neville said recently. Solskjaer's not yet won a trophy as Man United manager, and we haven't won a trophy since 2017. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, so we haven't won that now for like 8 years. I don't know when we'll next win the Premier League. I don't see us winning it for at least the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. It all depends on our recruitment and all of that, and, we shall see anyway. A lot of United fans don't see us winning the title under Ollie. So anyway guys, I'll be on for match reaction after the game. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.